What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. I got a rapid review for you. Let's get to it. All right, guys, I have three knives on the table. They're terrific options in the budget realm, so I think a lot of you are really going to appreciate it. And I think even those that are more into their premium may still enjoy these. So what are we taking a look at today? We got three here from Kizer. First up, we have the Infinity, which is a G10 and spear point blade shape. And then we have the Kizer Helmet. This one here is going to be more of your sheep's foot blade shape, also in the G10 option. And last but certainly not least, we have the Kizer Crocodile. So these are all coming very similarly laid out here. You got G10 all in green with blacked out hardware, and you have all blacked blades all in Nitro V. So it's going to make it very easy to talk about certain things about these knives. So I'm just going to kind of start it off with the Infinity, talk a little bit about the differences between these knives and what I think they will do for you and how they did for me while I had them. So the Infinity is a flipper only. This is more of a lighter weight, small, compact EDC. You have Texture G10, which is grippy, but it's not going to be a pocket shredder. You got a steel fold-over deep carry clip that is not nested. It lays flat on top of the scales, which may make this a good candidate for the titanium pocket clip upgrade if you wanted to do that. Again, flipper only. You got some jimping here in the push button position, which I think this is really more meant for. I gravitate towards the light switch, but really I'm gripping the little bit of jimping that's up here, and I will admit with the coating on there, it is a little slick. Now, the action on here is really good, and I keep meaning to check. Yeah, it is locked up solid, so I don't know if it's just broken in or if they're using the smaller diameter bearings that are a little bit thinner here, and it's causing it to feel like it's got like the smoothest action for such a small knife. Came nice and centered, great access to the lock bar. They cut it back here so you can get in very easily with the thumb. Flipper tab drops to the thumbnail, and then it's just a couple of shakes or one medium to hard shake to get it home. But really just the light shakes, you can see, take that home very nicely. It is a 3.5 finger grip for me, so more medium to large size hands, definitely small hands. I think the ladies will appreciate this as well with the shorter pockets. I think this is going to fit in there nicely, and we'll do some size comparisons in a little bit about to show that. So far, the Nitro V, and again, I did a limited cutting with these, but I have my own Kizers that have Nitro V on them, and those have performed very, very well. I think their edge retention to me is very comparable to 14C 28N. Very easy to strap in home and bring back to a hair-popping, razor-sharp edge. You got a really good plunge grind here. It actually ends right there where I'm pointing the tip of the blade at. So you got lots of sharpening life here on the Infinity, and it does have a spear point blade shape, which I think is very versatile. I like this because it still gives belly, so that you can do some tabletop cutting tasks. You can get down on the table very easily. You don't have to go to an obtrusive angle to be able to get those draw cuts and those utility cuts on that tabletop. You're going to be able to do that very nicely. It works very good with the pinch grip. You're not going to have to tilt the wrist too high there. It also is nice for the choke up. You're going to be able to easily get into packages without going too deep. Also, you can do that with the pinch grip there. I kind of extend a little too far, but you can really control how deep it goes in there with the pinch grip, whereas choked up, it's going to go a little bit deeper. And just in case you need extra caution when you're opening your package, you're going to want to make sure that you're using the pinch grip, in my opinion, versus the choked up grip. Very, very thin, slicey blade. No issues passing through the material. Very comfortable in hand. I do wish I could get 4 fingers on there for me personally, but because there is that bulbous back here, it does end up being very comfortable, not overly thick at all. So we're going to set the Infinity to the side for a second before we get to size comparisons, weights, and scores. And we're going to move into the helmet. The helmet's more of a sheep's foot. You got a little bit of an upsweep there. I think when I was doing the utility cuts and maybe others as well, a little bit of scarring there out on the tip, but that's going to be par for the course with these coated blades. They also, again, G10, flat scales, slightly more contouring here, or maybe it's more noticeable because this is a little bit more broad. Steel fold over clip, not nested but recessed screws, reversible, so great for lefties. Same black hardware, jimping on the back, flipper only with a little bit of jimping here. Good access to the lock bar again. They have that relief cut down. Flipper drops to the thumbnail and shakes home. This one feels like it's either a little tighter in the pivot or perhaps needs to be broken a little bit more. Now, this is the only one on the table that has an opening hole in addition to the flipper. So you can thumb flick it and you can reverse flick it, in my instance, very easily. The D10 on all three of these are excellent. They're dialed in very nicely. This one here, a little bit, as you see me miss, a little heavier on the reverse flick and the thumb flick, and then very well dialed, in my opinion, for the push switch. Very, very nice. D10 in action on this one is solid. This one here, more of a shaker. More of a shaker than the Infinity. The Infinity definitely feels a little bit smoother on the close, a little bit more broken in. This one here, very comfortable, full 4-finger grip, easily able to do tabletops and detailed work with this one because of the way low down tip. Went through the paper fine, had a good edge, very easy to strap and hone, moved through the cardboard very nicely. It really just, all three of these, if I'm being honest, just slicing through that cardboard so easy. Just a very thin geometry, very thin blade stock, comfortable. My gosh, comfortable. I don't know what's going on with me today, guys. Comfortable for those detailed cuts, utility cuts, draw cuts, and again, you're in a really good position here. You don't have to go high up at all to get onto that tip. Just to demonstrate that tip, you can kind of, if you don't need a lot of power and it's thinner material, you can keep it low. If it's thicker and denser, you definitely can come up a little bit and push in and get that power behind the tip, but you really don't need it. So very pleased with the helmet. Don't know if I said that was the name. And all three of these are at or just under 50, I believe, which I think is excellent value for materials, money, and performance. Very comfortable ergonomically. Again, this is not as big of a bulbous, but the way that it carries out to the pinky there and I'm able to get a full grip on there, I really did enjoy and appreciate that. Let's set the helmet to the side for a moment. We got one more to talk about high level before we jump into the nitty gritty and do size comparisons and weigh the knife. And that, my friends, is the Crocodile. And I really appreciate that they did the texturing here, even though it's smooth G10, it's very, very smooth. You can see the layers here a little bit on the edge from the heavier chamfering on this one, but it does really kind of look like crocodile scales or skin, whatever you want to call it. Very cool. Same thing here, reversible, deep carry, steel, fold over. This one going back to being a flipper only. Very good action. Good access to the lock bar. Again, very well chamfered. Let that flipper tab drop to the thumbnail. And this one here being more of a shaker. This one feels tighter, but I also think this one has the thinnest blade. I think might be the Infinity. It just might be hard to tell. No, it definitely has the, it appears to have the more thin blade stock. They might be similar. It could be that swedge on the top of the Crocodile throwing me off a little bit there. So looking back here at the jimping, I would say it does look like the Crocodile might be a hair thinner. This one's really well broken in. Okay, so this one does have a little bit of side to side when I really wrench on it. I wonder if I can get that out. Ooh. I think I went too far. Let's see. Really hard to tell here. Okay, so it got rid of the play. and it tightened it up a little bit, but truth be told, this one's still the smoothest, I think, of the three here. Yeah, this one's a little bit stiffer. And again, it might just need to be broken in. This one is the tightest, which makes me wonder, oh, that's interesting. So, no, they all have that, but I didn't have to move, I don't think. Ah, is it this one? No, it is really tight, guys. Don't want to damage or strip it because it's not mine if I can't. There we go. It moved. I was going to say if I can't get it without having to put much more pressure. No, it's still very tight. And that just developed a little bit of side to side. So let me tighten it back up. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Ugh. All right, let's see. That might be too tight. Oh, it's moving too fast. That's the problem. There we go. Actually, I think no play. Oh, nope. Still tight. Nope, there it goes. Okay. It probably, truth be told, just needs to be broken in. So let's keep going. Ergonomically, this one is my favorite of the three today. I'm able to get a really beefy four-finger grip on there. Nice, tall, not too thick with the nested liners on here. None of them really felt like hot spots to me with the pocket clip. All very comfortable. I got a little bit of space to move around a little bit, manipulate my hand position a little bit here. There is also a choke up spot on this one, which there was not on the helmet because it is the sharpening choil, which I forgot to talk about. We'll come back to that in a second. But you do have a choke up spot here, so you can get way up here and come out to help with the detailed work, but you do have the most blade and the thinnest tip out here for that detailed work. Also, that's nice for the pinch grip. For me, I'm able to kind of land in this position here and hold that knife very comfortably. I do have to articulate my wrist a little bit higher because this does have a little bit of a higher tip than the other two due to the fact that it is clip point, but I can just drop down to the side and still holding that same pinch grip, get down there and bring the wrist down a little bit and get enough power out to the more dainty and sharper tip, which doesn't really need a lot of power because it being thinner goes through the material a little bit better to be able to manipulate that. This is the shortest blade height wise of the three here. Just to show you, you got more height with the Infinity with that tall flat grind throughout the blade. It starts out about the same, but the way it bulbouses on that spear point, it's a little bit taller there. So when you're cutting through this part here, it does feel like it moves through a little bit smoother. And then for the helmet, I think the helmet is the tallest of all of them here today. So again, you got not as tall of a flat grind. That flat grind probably equals, maybe even slightly less where the flat grind is, but that thin blade stock is really helping that helmet out a ton. This really moved through the material very well. Again, you can definitely notice this is a little bit thinner. You're able again to choke up for more control. I do like that a lot. This is just very comfortable handle position. Definitely feels like it needs to be broken in compared to the other two, and it could be the detent on this one being tuned just for the flipper and being a bigger blade. They might have given it a little bit of a stiffer detent. It does feel like it's a little bit more crisp than the other two on opening. If I didn't mention it, they're all ceramic bearings housed in a nylon washer, so the difference between a stamped and a cage is they're fully locked in balls, so it should make them a little bit more rigid in the pivot to avoid side to side, a little bit easier to tune these as well. I really think, for me, size-wise, I love the Crocodile. I also like a little bit of character they gave it with that smooth G10 having a little bit of texture. G10 in itself, like micarta, is a grippy material in hand, but it's a little bit thicker back here. So for me, the ring finger and the pinky having that extra real estate makes it a little bit more of a joy to hold. And again, that's just comparing it to the other two that are here on the table. I would say the next one for me definitely would be the helmet. Very comfortable. I can't think of anything that it really reminds me of to talk about that it grips like that, because the sheepdog is a little bit more contoured here on the bottom. And so is the S-Tau, not the S-Tau, the Towser S and Towser K. I said S, sorry, that's why I paused. Towser K, and then I think the Roach is a lot more angled. So I feel like this is very unique in it of itself. And you can see the three as they compare here. So what I do want to talk about, because we talked about the excellent sharpening choil on the Infinity, unfortunately, the Crocodile here, its plunge guide runs a little bit lower, so it's ending right about there. So when you start to get around this area, you might see a smile, and then that kind of happens here also with the helmet. The helmet's plunge grind kind of washes down and goes here, but I feel like the helmet definitely is giving you a little bit more sharpening capability than the Crocodile. The Crocodile, I think you would want to cut out like a little bit of a Chris Reeve. I call it a Chris Reeve. I'll try to demonstrate that here. You want to do like an angled sharpening choil that comes in like this and just lose that little bit of cutting edge so you don't have to worry about getting a smile too soon. So I think knocking in your own would be good. And then the stop pin, thankfully on this one here, is way back here behind the flipper tab, so you're not going to run into an issue if you do want to put in your own sharpening choil. And that is the case here with all three. I love that Kizer designs their knives to have the closed stop pin behind the flipper tab, kind of hidden into the body there. All right, let's talk about some of the differences real quick, and then we'll do size comparisons with some knives you may be more familiar with. As you can see, the Infinity is definitely more small, medium hand, EDC, up to like large, probably starting to hang off the back a little bit, but it's going to be smaller, more friendly summer carry. I think it might be a little big for a pouch. Definitely wouldn't be able to fifth pocket. The ladies, I think, with the shorter jeans pockets probably really will enjoy the Infinity. I think the Infinity 2 is the most well-rounded. I like the spear points because it gives you belly so that you can do tabletop cutting. It does help you trap the material in this area, so back here. You also have a nice tabletop rocking point here if you're working through something that might have a little bit of dense material or something that is more dense. You can kind of push and push down and then finish cutting through with that. So you can do a little bit of sawing with it. And then you still have a low enough tip to where you can do the detailed work. To me, the sheep's foots and Warncliffes are going to be definitely more utilitarian. They're going to be meant for cutting through dense materials most, and then tabletop cutting being secondary, and then puncturing being the furthest. And then you do have a versatile clip point, gives you some of the stuff that you get with the spear points, but you can't go as low with the draw cuts. You got to kind of get it up higher, whereas with the spear point you don't need to. The spear point is going to be less angled. You're going to see this is going to be kind of your position on the tabletops as far as the angles are concerned. All right, let's do some size comparison, and then we're going to weigh each of these, and then I'll give my overall score. All right, I hope this is okay. I don't want to have to do each one individually, so hopefully this point of reference really does help you. I would consider the Crocodile full size. I feel like, as I talked about with the ergos, your helmet's kind of in the middle, and your Infinity is going to be more of your small. It's very close to the Nice Guy, which I really like for pocket pouch EDC and for the ladies' pockets out there, the shorter pockets. Summer carry, lightweight too. These two are definitely going to be really nice for those. So again, I think these are some really nice comparisons. We'll bring these back out for close profile because I do want to demonstrate how much I like the thin nature of these three. But let's do a couple more size comparisons for folks out there. All right, so we have the Manix 2 lightweight lined up at the pivot. This one is not on the pivot. There we go. So you can see more full size, very comparable to the Manix 2 lightweight. Again, mid, and then this one here is going to be more small EDC. I consider the Para 3 lightweight on the cusp of medium, and you can see it's just a little bit bigger, and that's more so because it gives you better handle for better ergos, but blade length is going to be the same but less cutting geometry. All right, let me close these up and we'll do close profile and do some weight. All right, so we have them closed up on the table here, and compared to the Ripley, I would say the Crocodile is pretty comparable. It might be a skosh in favor of the Ripley as far as overall length. They all going to carry very nice and deep in the pocket. You can see, which ones are going to take up more real estate. I would say that the Crocodile is actually thinner in profile, height-wise, than the Helmet, and then the Infinity being the next thinnest as well. It gets that blade in there pretty good, as you can see, compared to the Nice Guy and the Ripley. Let me bring the scale out here and we'll weigh these. So I have the scale out here. I'm going to guess that the Helmet's going to be the heaviest just because of the blade steel, but I do think that the Crocodile is going to come in around 3.5 or so. It's pretty heavy. So I did not weigh these, I promised beforehand. So coming in at 3.5, good weight, but 3.5 to 3.5 inches of blade is not really that bad. Let's see what the Helmet comes in at. This one might be 3.4. So 3.2, so it is a little bit heavier. I think it's just because the weight on the Crocodile when it's in hand is distributed more evenly, and this one will definitely be the lightest. This will probably be the 2.9 or 3. 2.7, so not bad. I was close. So definitely the lightest, which I think makes the most sense out of that because it is the smallest. All right, let's go ahead and score these. This is going to be really easy, guys. Nitro V on all of them, black coated blade on all of them, reversible pocket clip on all of them, excellent lock bar access on all of them. You have the nylon bearing, nylon coated caged ceramic bearing. I don't know, I'm struggling today in this. I'm so sorry. This one has the best action and the best sharpening choil. These have they both have, this one probably a little bit smoother than the Crocodile, and the Crocodile may be because the blade is thinner and lighter, but it's starting to break in, but you can definitely tell it's a little bit stiffer on the close, but it also feels a little bit more crispy on the opening. So I think that's where it would have its advantage. Depending on if you like lanyards or don't like lanyards, you have 2 lanyard holds and you don't have one. It would be strictly for decor here, and you may be able to wrap one, truth be told. Yeah, you'd be able to wrap one around the back of this barrel, and I don't think the blade tip would touch it. Depending on how thick paracord material or the material that you would use to put your lanyard on there. Where I would say each has an advantage or a disadvantage, right? Small, lightweight, most versatile, best action for sure. This one would give you better utility properties for utility work and things of that nature. And being a little bit bigger would give you a better grip, whereas this would be smaller and lighter weight. And then this one here, being the thinnest, would be the most slicey, in my opinion, and also have the best ergos because it's hand filling, but it may be too big if you have small hands. So there's some give and take. Here's what I'm saying. What I take into consideration is fit, finish, materials being offered, and price point on all of these based off my experience. So this is just my opinion. Having said that, the ceiling, meaning absolute perfection for a knife, is going to be a 7 in the budget realm because that's where the materials kind of hit their limit when you compare them against more premium knives. So keep that in mind. For me, I'm going to put the Crocodile and the Infinity here at a 6.1. The Helmet, I'm going to give a 6.2, and that's going to be because while it's not going to be good at puncture task, you could still, if you needed to, get into something, if you needed to just start the cut by poking through something that's super dense without having to stab it, and then you can cut your way into it. The reason I give it a little bit of an advantage, and hopefully this makes sense, is because we have both a flipper tab and we have a opening hole. So if you're not a one means of deployment or a flipper only type person, you do have a very nice opening hole here that works very well. I very much enjoyed the tuning of the detent on these. They all feel very solid on how they're made. They're nested steel liners with G10 onlays or G10 scales. And the helmet, I'm able to get 4 fingers on there. It's still compact and condensed enough to carry lightly, so I could flex this into summertime carry. And you know, it's not going to be a tactical looking knife when you pull it out. I think most people are going to know that this one here is a utility cutter. I would say the Crocodile probably gives the most tactical vibes out of it, even though I do like the looks and the texturing here, making it a little bit different from the other two. But like I said, they all have advantages and disadvantages. Really impressed with the tuning on this one. It does feel like it could be a little bit heavier on the detent for the flipper tab, but I also don't think I could fail it. It feels crispy. I would say this one, let's see here, which one has, man, that feels really similar now that I'm doing them back to back. Yeah, this one has the heaviest detent out of them. I would say these two, out of detent strength, these two would be my 7.2, 7.3. This would be like a 8.4. This jumps a whole nother number for detent strength on a scale to 10. I really like that. That is very crispy, and I think that's also why you see I got to shake it a little bit more than the other two to close it. Like that one, it's a one shake and go home. Really like these. These are awesome. Great prices on them. I'll have a link to Kizer's website down below so you can check these or anything else that Kizer has out. These should be very affordable. You know, these should be at or under $50 for the 3 of these. Definitely check them out. Use your boy's link. It does help the channel. It helps me. It lets Kizer know that I'm sending folks to them interested in stuff. Even if you're coming back later and shopping for something else, if you just click a video and a link, it helps, man. I can't tell you how much it helps, and thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's rapid review of the Crocodile, the helmet, and the Infinity, hit that like on the way out. That also helps tell YouTube that you enjoyed the video. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Love to have you join. Special thanks and shout out to those channel members out there. I hope you all have a fantastic week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.